Hey, love. Welcome to No Matcha, No Mama, the podcast where we pour a little matcha and a whole lot of truth. Every week, I sit with someone I admire, founders, healers, creatives, and friends, and we share a matcha I've crafted just for them. Everything here is intentional. The ingredients in your cup, the energy that we bring, the stories that we open. But this is more than just a podcast. It's a space for feeling seen, understood, and reminded that whatever you are walking through, you are not walking through it alone. At its heart, this show is about exploring how we can truly thrive through all the mess and magic of being human. There's also a space to explore the evolving world of longevity and aging well, from new discoveries and treatments to practices that actually make a difference in our lives so that we can keep showing up for ourselves, our families, our communities, while remembering that we are all figuring it out as we go. And here we start with matcha, because how we start matters. Today, I'm welcoming someone whose work feels both cosmic and deeply human. Richard James is an evolutionary astrologer and the host of the new Gaia series, Starcast Weekly, launching this January. Super exciting.
Very.
There's something about the way he sees the world that feels grounding, expansive, and really intentional. And I'm genuinely so excited to have you here today. It's going to be very special. So let's dive in.
Yes, let's do it. I'm excited. Thank you.
You're welcome. And so I made you a lavender matcha because I know that you love lavender matcha. So why don't you give it a taste and let me know what you think.
Let's do it. Oh, it's so good.
It's very delicious.
It is. Are you having it too, lavender?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Same thing.
It's amazing. Thank you.
Of course. It's my ritual, the way that I start my day every morning. So I was wondering, is there a ritual that you start your day with?
Definitely. So I'm a huge believer in the way that you do start your day, and the intention that you start your day with is kind of how your day continues. So like it's almost like it carries the energy. Instead of allowing life to kind of control you, you have a little bit more of a say in how your day goes. So when you start it, I'm a huge believer in meditation. So for me, like my morning has to have some space for myself to meditate, to read. And then I do a yoga practice called Kriya. And it's kind of like my way of connecting with the universe and kind of setting my intention for what that day has in store. So I fully believe a lot of my life I attribute to how I start my day.
I mean, it's very important.
Yeah.
So
it's like my little ritual like that. And then I get out there, like I'll have my coffee or I'll have my water or whatever it might be. But like if I, like that's like my space, like no phone, no technology, like leave me alone. And, and it's my way of connecting for the day.
Beautiful. And as an astrologer, you're constantly aware of cycles and transits, almost like you have like this built-in forecast, right?
Yeah.
That most of us don't. So I imagine that can feel like both a blessing and a curse. On days where the energy looks challenging or the stars feel stacked against you, how do you show up for yourself and move through your day?
And you know, this is such a good question because I do feel like it is a blessing and a curse when you know some things are happening and you're like, I was like, I know this is happening this day, so how do I do it? But in the way that I practice astrology, I believe that we could utilize this to empower ourselves. So if there's something difficult that's happening, and I'm just going to use an example like with Mars in astrology, it might be a day that I know I need to prioritize taking care of my health, or I need to go for a walk, or I need to go out, or I need to go exercise or something like this. Or, you know, have a little bit more patience. So I think sometimes like with the people that know me as well, I'll tell like my best friend or my brother and be like, listen, today's a day, like be conscious of this, like don't rush. Like if you know that there's going to be people out there, be careful of road rage, like being aware of the themes, because sometimes it's not so much about me experiencing it. It's about how I see everybody else experiencing the energy. Like Mercury's retrograde right now as we're filming this. And just on this day, like I've noticed like little moments where things are not connecting, or there's like little scheduling challenges and stuff like that. And it's totally normal. But what control do we really have? And it's almost like learning to go with the flow and be okay that sometimes things are not going to go the way that we expect. And I think sometimes that's what difficult transits teach us.
For sure.
Is that life has challenges and it's going to happen whether we think it's like we have control over it or not. So I sometimes think it's good for us. Like I try to I try to look at things as opportunities for growth, less good or bad.
For anyone new to you,
Yes.
what exactly is evolutionary astrology and how is it different from the astrology people usually see on like Instagram or in magazines?
That's a really good question. So evolutionary astrology is very passionate about understanding the evolutionary journey of the soul and consciousness. Like we believe that we all come here to Earth to grow and evolve. So when I look at your chart, I'm looking at it like this is what Dina is here to learn. This is what the intention is that she's trying to work through or on to evolve through. And we want to understand why. Like, why did you attract the relationship that you're in? Why did you attract the specific relationship with your mother? Why did you attract these dynamics? Evolutionary astrology helps us understand that. Whereas on Instagram or on TikTok, like you tend to find it's a little bit more pop. It's a little bit more of a stereotype.
Yes. And that's how I'm used to astrology.
Yeah. And so like with Virgos, you're like, oh my God, you're so self-critical or you're such a perfectionist.
Which
and
isn't
I feel
wrong.
like it's not wrong, but it's not deep. It's like there's so much more to a Virgo than the fact that they can be very like they plan everything and they like to have that sort of overcritical nature. My question I ask is why are they that way? Like what is what's going on in that brain of theirs that causes them to feel like they need to have that structure in their life?
And is it more individual?
Always. Yeah. So like Virgo, like in astrology, there's 12 different houses. So like you as a Virgo is going to show up in a very specific area of your life where that's where we want to fine tune that Virgo energy. Whereas like you don't want to bring it everywhere in your life. You don't want to be so self-critical and so difficult in every area where you're like, oh my God, like my house has to be this way. My relationship has to be this way. My work has to be this way. Because what happens is you can't take, it's not sustainable. So I always like to try to say like, we have to learn how our energy is and carry that energy. So maybe like in a relationship, the Virgo needs to be a little bit more flowy. Like I have to release the control. I can't always bring control into the relationship. But when it comes to my work, I'm going to control everything because this is what I do.
Right.
So it's
there
like
has to be a little more balance.
Exactly. Always. So, and I think with TikTok and Instagram, social media, magazines and stuff like that, there's no depth in that way that it doesn't share it with you to be like, oh, there's more to you than just the fact that your sun is in Virgo. And that's what we're going to look at is like, you have so much more to who you are than just the fact that you're a Virgo. Being a Virgo is like 1/12 of the picture. It's so much more complicated. And you don't see that. Like they don't get into it.
No.
So
what was the moment or experience that led you down the path of becoming an astrologer? Was it an aha moment or a slow awakening?
Oh, it was like, wake up, like get it together. Because like I realized it was a shocker. It was in studying astrology, the word that I use is like cataclysmic. It was like my world fell apart. And I was like, why is this happening? And so back in 2018, my mom was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer.
I'm sorry.
And that moment was a game changer because it happened on my birthday. And it was like my first moment where I've never had something so close hit home like that.
Right.
And in that moment, I was already in a space of a more spiritual, intentional approach to life. But that challenged everything because I was in my 20s and I'm like, why am I experiencing this in my 20s? Like she was in her 50s. Like, why is that?
So young. Oh my goodness.
And why would she have to experience that? That's not fair. And it kind of was an experience that was evolving since 2018. And then in 2019, I had a business at the time in marketing. I also was in a relationship at the time. And my mom got re-diagnosed with cancer because she was in remission for a little bit. And it all happened over a weekend. And when that happened is when I dove so deep into meditation. Like I spent so much time trying to find an answer. Like, why is this all happening to me? Like, and I knew deep down in my heart what the path laid ahead as far as family, as far as relationships and that go. But astrology was introduced to me by somebody and they were just like, you should look at your chart. Like, you should go look at this. Like, you should look at to why this is happening to you. But I'm a questioner. Like, I don't believe anything anyone says. Like, I got to research it. I got to figure it out myself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I it's just who I am. So I looked at it. I was like, okay. Well, thanks for telling me. Let me go do my own research. And then I learned that what my preconceptions were of astrology and what I thought I was were completely wrong. And then I started studying evolutionary astrology and I was like, oh, this is hitting home. This is like hitting a part of me that was healing the fact that I was dealing with loss and grief. Even though my mom was still alive, I was dealing with loss and grief of a relationship, of a business, and I was dealing with loss and grief of all of this. Like, it was a total cataclysm for me. But it was so empowering because I was finding answers and finding solutions. And so what I realized is if I can feel this way about this, and it is affecting me in this way, that I can create this change, how can I use this to help other people? How can I do this to share this with other people? Because if it has helped me, it will help anyone. And so then I started doing events in Miami, and I was doing events in other parts of Southern Florida. And I was like, this has so much potential to make a difference in the world. And so I've been doing this since then and trying my best to help people and meeting new people and being like, this is what we're seeing. And it's all about helping people reconnect with themselves, reconnect with their relationships or their parent, whatever it is, to heal.
It's funny how situations with loved ones, or when you're dealing with sickness of loved ones, like that opens you up to rediscovering more about yourself because you need to show up for someone else differently. Like when my mom she was also diagnosed with stage 4 glioblastoma. She passed away. And during that process, I really dove deep inward to try to like make peace with that situation. And so I really relate to what you're saying because I also wanted to show up differently for her in that way. And I wasn't looking into astrology, but I was trying to find a deeper meaning to life.
Exactly.
And I think it's really beautiful that those types of situations can bring that out in us.
Totally. And I love what you just said. The idea that you realize I have to show up differently for her. And that's what it really, like a big part of it is like, I had to understand what was happening for me to be the person that can hold space for difficult conversations or whether it's with my mom or with siblings and stuff like that. It's being able to understand that, give you that kind of background and that perspective. And I feel like in a way because of all of that, dealing with the loss and grief has hit differently because I know in my heart how proud she is of me. And I feel like she knows that the conversations we were having were coming from somewhere. And she knew that I had a connection with it. And I would try to like give her like little tidbits like of astrology and stuff like that. But it was the connection that it gave me or the wisdom that it brought me to in studying grief and loss. I mean, I've been studying grief and loss now for like 3 or 4 years. Like I was writing about death and loss and trying to understand it, studying different cultures, studying different religious approaches. And it all had kind of helped so that I could be there for somebody that was experiencing all of this. And of all people, it's your mother. So it's like, how can I be there for them while at the same time, how can I be there for myself?
Yeah.
And that's what this spiritual journey has been about. And in astrology, I think there's so much potential that I don't think social media has allowed yet for the depth of what can come forward with astrology. Because there's just so much potential for us to understand things, to be like, wow, like there is more to this. And it's not about being a Virgo or being Aries.
It's very blanket, right? Like there are all of these posts about the different signs and, you know, if you're this sign and it's this month or whatever, wherever the sun is, the moon is, this is what happens.
Exactly.
But it's so individualized that it doesn't always feel like that's correct. And so a lot of people might not
believe it
100% because it doesn't affect them. It doesn't affect their life. What is presented is not
correct.
Sorry.
No, you're
what
good.
What is presented is not real to them.
And you don't resonate with it. And it's almost like that's why it's so hard to make blanket statements about astrology to be like, oh, you're Virgo, this is what it's going to represent. That's why I say all the time, like, don't only look at what your sun sign says. That is literally a very small part of your chart.
Right.
Like there's so many other complexities. And that's why it's important to sit down with somebody before, like it is healthy to be a skeptic. But don't judge it. Like be open to be like, let me just see what my astrology has to say. And that takes knowing your time of birth and all of that. But if you do, just try it. And I promise you, you'll get like a nugget of wisdom in there that opens you up. And you're like, wow, like that hits a part of me that I didn't realize how important it was.
Yeah.
So.
Definitely.
That was a good question.
So I'm going to tap into motherhood a little bit.
Love it. Let's do it.
How can astrology help mothers, or I guess parents, understand themselves better, especially during harder seasons?
So this is an amazing question. I think being a mother, this is coming from two different angles, because being a mother is not only about taking care of your children, it's also about taking care of yourself.
And your husband.
And your husband.
If you have one.
We can throw him in there. We can throw him in there.
You take care of everybody.
Yes, you do. But at one level with astrology, when you understand the astrology of your children, for an example, you understand perhaps, like I've now looked at life. Are you familiar with the 5 love languages?
Yes.
So like I look at children and babies as having their own love language. And I feel like as a mother, you don't want to look at astrology to like give your child that can't even speak yet a personality and be like, this is how they're going to be for the rest of their lives.
Right.
Because we don't know what this little soul is bringing into this world.
No.
This little soul can have such a deep level of spirituality inside it. Like you just don't know.
No.
So you don't want
It's impossible to
know.
when they're not talking.
No, exactly. And you don't know what the conditioned patterns are going to bring up. But what we know is like kind of what that soul's journey is bringing to the table, like what energies they're playing with and where their opportunities are, or where certain life lessons are going to push them towards. Like you could see that. But for motherhood, I feel like that can be incredibly illuminating. Like I did a reading with a lady the other day who was a mom, and she had a child that had a very strong Virgo chart, and especially in early childhood. And Virgo has a lot to do with health as well. And so I had asked her, I was like, is it like, what's going on with the health department? Was there anything going on with health or wellness or anything like this? And the baby had a very difficult time as far as eating goes and how it was digesting certain things.
Right.
And so it brings a level of like, oh, this isn't random. Like this is like a part of the child's composition.
Yeah.
And knowing that things are going to get better, things can get easier, things are going to heal and stuff, like it can bring clarity to a moment that you're like, is this going to be their life for the rest of time? Like this is going to be how they're going to be. And as a mother, you don't know.
It can feel like you're stuck.
Yes. Yeah.
Even though it's temporary.
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then as a mother at a level, like how to take care of yourself as you're trying to take care of everybody else. And that is my message. I always say this, like when we look at something, it always comes back to you, because if there's not a healthy you, there's a healthy nothing. So it's like, take care of you first, especially as a mother, because you can't show up for your children the way you would like to if you're not taking care of yourself.
This is what I say all the time. You don't show up for yourself.
Yes.
How can you show up for somebody else?
You can't. It doesn't happen. And if you think you're doing it, you're lying to yourself. And it's almost like, be honest with yourself and how you're taking care of yourself. So like one tip just in astrology is like, look at your moon sign. As a mother, like your moon is in Libra in your 4th house. And so I would say, what does somebody need to take care of themselves? Look at what your moon sign is asking for you. When I see someone's moon is in the 4th house, like that actually is like, be at home, like take care of yourself, like nurture yourself, whatever that looks like. Now you might want to be around people, or you might want your family around you, but there is a really big need when you have the moon in the 4th house, like to have some time at home, like relaxing. Like don't try to do the Virgo thing and clean everything up. Don't try to be the person that wants everything to be organized or the dishes neat. Like give yourself time just to breathe alone, relax, and just have that Zen space. Like your home is your sanctuary. And if you don't feel that, your moon sign is going to be out of whack.
Interesting.
And how we take care of ourselves is resting, rejuvenating, being and taking care of yourself in the sense of whatever that means when you're alone. Like maybe you just need like no TV, no technology, no one asking a book, whatever it is, like just to chill, right? But it's hard because you feel like the obligations or the pressures or the responsibilities or whatever it is. But it's finding that balance of priorities to be like, I need to take care of myself. I need to have some time for myself. So when you learn about your moon sign, it's how can I emotionally take care of myself? How can I feel more grounded? How can I feel like I'm more supported for myself? And again, if you don't do that for yourself, you will notice it because there'll just be chaos everywhere.
Of course.
And so that's what we're trying to do. And for moms that are going through difficult times, learn your moon sign.
I love that.
Learn what you need to do to take care of yourself, because you're going to project that to try to take care of other people. And when you understand your children's astrology, I think is really cool. I think it's a really fun exercise to do, because you understand, like, first of all, it's not your first lifetime with your children. Spoiler alert. It's like you've done this before. But also, like, what their love languages could be as children. You know, I just thinking of you being a Virgo. Virgos are super sensitive on the inside. So I always look at Virgo children need to feel held and supported and need to feel nurtured and need to feel that sense of like touch. But not every Virgo child gets that. So how does that affect them?
Right.
And so it's really important. Like with Leos, for an example, Leos love a little bit of attention in the sense of like, oh my God, you're so beautiful. Your hair's so nice. Oh, you're so creative. You did this. You drew in between the lines or whatever it might be. Offering that validation is really important.
Words of affirmation.
Yeah. For a Leo child, they often don't get that sometimes. So it's like those things we want to pay attention to. So it's like those signatures we look at and offer that. So like when you see a child that has a lot of Leo energy, I'm like, give that child like a little bit of a boost. Just give them a little like a little cheering. Cheer them on a little bit. It won't hurt them, I promise you. It'll only support them. I would rather have somebody that has been supported at that ego level versus somebody that hasn't. And then they're struggling for validation as they get older.
Do you see certain placements or transits that make motherhood feel more challenging for some people?
Yes. So there's a few different things you want to look at. So as far as difficulty goes, like you're saying, as far as like being like when you're having a child or
I guess I'm saying just certain, I feel like certain moms might have a more difficult time with their kids than others. Like it feels easier for some people or more natural, and maybe others it doesn't. So maybe in that regard.
So at one level, whenever I see a chart of a mom that is going through like a major Pluto transit or a major Saturn transit, that can represent a difficult cycle you're going to go through. Pluto transits can be up to 2 years. It takes a while for Pluto transits to happen. And Pluto represents a major transformation. Pluto represents kind of this sort of alchemy of death and rebirth. So when you see a mother's chart and they're like really going through a difficult time and Pluto's involved, you know that this is going to be a major shift in how they understand everything in their life. It's almost like from the ashes rises a phoenix. That'll be the mother. So it'll be difficult in the beginning. But they'll find power in being in it all as time progresses. So there are certain transits that we see. Like I said, Saturn can also be the same thing because it's almost like Saturn's going to make you work. Saturn's going to make it say like, if this is, you're going through a Saturn transit and you just had a baby, it may be a very difficult cycle where whether it's balancing obligations and responsibilities, it's work, it's relationships, is this a single mother? Like there's so many different ways that this can show up. And it can definitely give us a glimpse to say, hold up, like let's not say that it's going to be awful. Let's not like say this is going to be the most difficult cycle of your life because again, Pluto is going to help bring power into your life. And this is what I went through in 2018 and 2020. I realized this and I was like, this is supposed to be empowering. So maybe it's reframing my perspective of what I'm going through so that I could see what is the gift that this child is bringing into my life? What are the opportunities that are coming through? We can honor the difficulty, but we can also honor the gift.
Right, of course.
So I feel like we can look at these transits and say, wow, this is going to be a really difficult one, like a Pluto transit or a Saturn transit.
But how can that empower you and how can you see it as something that's bringing a positive impact in your life? For
the greater scope of your life. And that's what Saturn wants. Saturn is like, I don't want some sort of short-term pleasure situation. Like I want something that's going to be there for the rest of my life. And so, you know, sometimes if somebody is a single mother, and you'll see this sometimes, and they're going through a major Saturn transit or a major Pluto transit, they're trying to understand like why is it all falling on me? Why is this all happening to me? And you know what's amazing is you're becoming so powerful that you will never let another man do this to you. You will never let anybody take your power away, and you're going to step into who you're meant to become. And it's almost like that is one angle from this. But again, if it's difficulty, like maybe, you know, the child is being difficult, you know, maybe it's something in that nature. That is something that I like to see in charts as well, because like, are we looking at like these two opposites? Like, are you giving birth to your polar opposite to teach you a lesson that you need to learn? It could be. So there's so many different angles we can look at. And we totally can see it in astrology. And I feel like it could be healing when you notice that. You're like, okay, like I need to be a little bit more gracious with, you know, I was talking to somebody the other day and they have an Aries daughter. And I'm like, she's going to put a little fire under your butt. She's going to make sure, like, hold you accountable to go. You're not going to control her. You're not going to be able to tell her what to do. But that's going to teach you a lesson. Like, she might be messy because you need to learn to have a little bit more of a mess in your life. Like, you need to learn that. And so you feel like you're stressed out, but in reality, it's trying to teach you something in it all. So it's almost like those are all different angles that we can look at if there's a difficult situation.
I love that. I mean, I guess there's a way to kind of...
You can see it all. Like, I always tell people this. It's like you can see everything in a chart between like a mother and their child, whether it's their karma from the past life, like maybe it's a child that took care of the mom in the past life. Like they flipped responsibilities. And, you know, the child is now taking on a child in this lifetime instead of the parent.
Right. So it's almost like the roles are a little reversed.
Exactly. And that child's not going to make your life easy. They are going to make it a little difficult because what happened, what you did to them in their past life. Like, you never know. Like, there's so many different circumstances. But for anyone that is interested, you can definitely see if you're having a difficult moment with a child, I would just say have patience and have grace because there is a method to the madness sometimes, and there is reasons, and it just takes time sitting down with it and unpacking it. And astrology is a great way to do it.
So you mentioned that Mercury is in retrograde right now, and I wanted to ask you a specific question about that because people get very spooked.
They do.
By it, like life has to go on pause, right? So from your perspective, what's actually happening energetically and for parents or families, how might the transit show up in the home, misunderstandings, emotional sensitivity, schedule changes, and what are some grounding practices to navigate it?
Totally. So one thing I would just want to say is there's a lot of like sensationalism around Mercury retrograde. I had a great Mercury retrograde. Like, I'm thriving right now.
So it's not always negative.
Never.
So this is the misconception.
Correct. And so especially with people that are born with Mercury retrograde, they tend to...
What do you mean born with it? Like born when it
was happening. So like if you could be born... So every planet in astrology goes retrograde except for the sun and the moon.
Okay.
So like you could be born with Mercury retrograde in your chart and you're thriving during a Mercury retrograde period.
Okay.
So like one level, like let's just cross that off. Like it's not always bad. Like I've been traveling all over right now and I've had no issues. Okay. That is like one of the biggest stereotypes. People are like, oh my God, don't travel. Like blah,
that's
blah,
why
blah.
I want to debunk it right now.
Yeah. And it's like everything is flowing. Like it has been amazing. Like
I think it's good for me too. So,
and you've noticed, like
I didn't even know it was happening.
Exactly, you wouldn't unless you like saw like someone posting about it. Yeah, and I feel like it's trendy, it's cute, it's fun. Like you can make funny content about it, but like the reality of it is it can be a very advantageous time. Like it could be very beneficial for people. But you're talking about what's happening at home, right? So like if for a family that's at home, like yes, it's the holiday season. And I've been saying this for so long, like this holiday season, I would just stay away from anything religious or political or something like this because this specific retrograde is happening in Sagittarius and Scorpio. So what you want to be careful of is sometimes it can exacerbate the communication. So if we're talking about politics, we're talking about religion or our beliefs, like people have a really hard time listening during Mercury retrograde. They don't listen well to other people.
That's why communication is bad.
Correct. And what happens is if we can just be a little bit more curious, be more open-hearted, and give the other person space to say what they have to say. And let's say like right now, we're just using this as an example. We have a miscommunication. Instead of fighting about it, sit down with each other and be like, I'm sorry. I think I heard what you said wrong. Can you repeat what you said so I can understand what you're trying to say?
Yes.
Or can I tell you what I heard you say? So then you can tell me maybe I'm not understanding what you're saying properly. Maybe it's the intention and the delivery of the communication. And it can be healed like this. But what's happening is when your ego gets in the way and you get defensive or you take something personal, that's when the issues can get bad. But like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think at home right now, just during the holidays, being aware of this, being conscious, like, you know, everyone is feeling a little bit more fired up about their beliefs about certain things. Everyone's feeling a little bit more passionate. And I think collectively, I think we need to be more curious with each other. And I think if we were to be, and Mercury is a very curious planet, it will heal the potential or prevent the potential of there being, you know, those issues that could happen in miscommunication and stuff like that. The other thing at home is just like, if you know you're doing like a major home project, just do your due diligence. Like if you're going to be plumbing or electrical work or whatever it might be, like just do your due diligence. Make sure you're doing the right research before you sign a contract. Make sure all your I's and T's are dotted.
You should be doing that all the time.
You should, right? Well, here's the thing. I say that all the time. Like, it's common sense. Like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, you should not just be like willy-nilly just sign.
Maybe just double check a little bit more when Mercury's in retrograde.
Yes, but keep that behavior up even after. Like, don't just do it because Mercury's in retrograde. Just do it because it's good practice. But what's happening is that that's why it kind of keeps showing up for people. And sometimes I feel like...
And then they blame it on Mercury retrograde.
Of course, instead of themselves.
Right.
And so that's the problem, that we don't take account.
They deflect.
Yes. Instead of looking at themselves in the mirror to say, how am I contributing to this? Like, where do I come through? Because ultimately in astrology, Mercury has so much to do with our perception of reality. It has to do with our perception of how we label things.
Right.
And so what happens is that if we don't take accountability for it and we think that something outside of us is doing it to us, I mean, you're never going to take accountability for anything. And so look at it to be like, oh, this is an opportunity for me to grow. This is like a huge thing I always say, like, every astrology transit is an opportunity for you to grow. It is not holding you back. It's an opportunity for you to evolve. So Mercury retrograde could be a reevaluation of something. So maybe you do need to rethink the plumbing project you're going to do, or rethink the moving that you're about to do, or really reevaluate the contract you're about to sign. But it doesn't mean you stop living. It doesn't mean you stop doing everything. Like, that's kind of like the stereotypes you have to be careful of. It bothers me so much when I see it. And I was like, it's a bunch of BS. Sorry.
Well, I love that we talked about it then. Because I just wasn't sure what to think about it. Because you just always hear, oh, Mercury's in retrograde, shit's about to hit the fan.
No. People are going to thrive. People will be listening to this and they're like, my life is going so well right now. And then there's going to be some people that are listening that being like, my ex just came back. But don't blame it. Like,
it's not because of Mercury retrograde.
It's deeper. And we need to look at what's happening
inside
around your
yourself.
chart and be like, what in here is saying that is what you're going through? Like, this is the experience that you're going through. Mercury might be doing something, but is it in your house of relationships? Is it in your house of siblings? Or is it in your house of career? Like, it's deeper. It's just so much more complex. Just be careful of the surface.
No, great. Thank you for debunking that.
Of course.
What is happening? So Mercury retrograde is happening right now. Is
Yes.
there anything else happening collectively right now on the stars? And why does life feel so intense for so many people?
It's loaded. It's complicated too. I know right now we're in a really unique time period. So not only is Mercury retrograde right now, but Jupiter's also retrograde right now.
Oh, goodness.
Saturn's getting ready to do its thing, and it's going to come back into Aries next year. Saturn's station's actually retrograde, I think, this week on the 27th.
My goodness.
Neptune is still retrograde right now. Uranus is retrograde right now.
A lot of retrograde.
Yes, which is normal in the sense where like all of the planets do it. They all have different cycles and when they go retrograde, but we all do have this. Is normal for us, but I think right now what we're at is we have a lot of our planets that are transiting to new signs. Saturn is going to re-enter Aries. And it's going to be in Aries for the next 2-ish years. And then we're going to have Uranus coming into Gemini again next year. Whenever planets change signs, it is monumental. And we are beginning almost like a new era. Pluto just entered Aquarius and will be in Aquarius for like 20 plus years.
Wow.
And we have a lot of these planets, and they're major planets. We call them transpersonal planets. And then we have Jupiter and Saturn also changed as well. It's a lot. And I think we're noticing the collective upheaval. Like, it is fundamentally changing. Consciousness on the planet wants to change. But change is never easy. Because what happens is change requires us to get uncomfortable, and that's exactly what a lot of people are feeling is the uncomfortability of everything. Our belief systems, Jupiter, are changing. And Uranus is in the sign of Gemini, which has so much to do with how we are seeing everything, the way that we communicate with each other. Technology is changing. It is overwhelming for all of us. And it's why we feel the heaviness that you're talking about is we have so many planetary shifts happening. And I'm not saying this in a negative way, but more in an honest way. That this is what we're going to go through for the next couple of years. It is a fundamental shift that's happening on the planet. But what's happening is it's almost like the planet, and astrologically speaking, we are setting ourselves up for our future. We will feel completely different come 2028, 2029, and 2030. Once these planets are a little bit more grounded in the signs that they're in, we'll have greater clarity and vision for the future. But it is heavy right now. It is a heavy energy. We're dealing with a lot right now, even just not at a political sense, but like just living in the US. We can look at the US chart and be like, what is the United States going through astrologically? And we have a lot going on in our chart, and it's not easy. And so we feel these heavy energies with these planets that are all changing signs. And I just encourage people, again, I say this, I think we are missing staying curious with each other. I think we've missed the mark on connecting with each other. And I think that is a big thing of what Uranus and Gemini is going to try to bring up to the table, is how can we reconnect with each other? How can we communicate with each other without ostracizing or alienating each other based upon what we think or what we believe? For children, this can be a great chapter for us as far as how we teach our children. You're going to know, I can totally see this happening in the next 7 years. We're going to look at how the education system is going to change.
Oh, 100%.
And we're going to notice a new level of how we're teaching our children, how we are processing, how they are processing
also because
things.
of AI.
Well, that's a huge part of it.
Yeah.
But it's also like the way that we want to teach our children. The last time Uranus was in Gemini, we can see fundamental shifts. Like every time Uranus is in Gemini, there's been major changes in the education system in the world.
Interesting.
So it'll be interesting for children, for an example.
Yeah.
But technology is huge. But I was just talking about this the other night at dinner. I think what's going to happen is a lot of people are so passionate about reconnecting with each other and wanting to like be together like this and no longer like be on Zoom or be on our phones. I think we're going to notice a shift in this way of how we connect with each other as human beings. And I think
we need to, because there's so much time spent on our devices and on social media. And what we really need as humans is to connect with one another.
100%.
That's why we're here.
Totally. Like the community of it all. And the astrology supports it for us, but it's difficult in the beginning. And so just be patient, stay curious. And what I would say is, how can you see more love in the people that are around you, even if they don't think or agree with you the same way? I've had so many relationships end because it's almost like, I don't want to marry this person because they did this, they believe this, they think this. And it's something where, is that preventable by being more curious with each other? Like, what if you're meant to learn from that person? What if that's a learning opportunity for you? And when we have these major shifts happening like this, I feel like we are trying to reconnect with our hearts. Jupiter is in Cancer right now. It's all about reconnecting with our heart center. And I think I'm optimistic. That's what I want to say. But I don't think it's going to lighten up as soon as we'd like it to.
That's fair. I mean, we go through a lot as humans. But it's I kind of want to point out what you said earlier, though. It's not necessarily like bad. It just feels intense.
Yeah. It feels intense because it's change.
Yeah.
And what happens?
Because people also aren't comfortable with change.
Correct.
They're going to change. They're going to resist the change.
Correct. And you have a choice in life. Like in evolutionary astrology, we look at changes two different ways. You're either going to progressively change, which means you gradually accept the change that's going to happen, or you're going to get the wake up call, the cataclysmic change. It's almost like, I always say, like, life is going to throw little pebbles of sand at you. Are you going to listen to those little pebbles and be like, oh, I need to probably work on this? Then the boulder's going to come when you don't listen.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what's happening here, is like life is changing before our eyes. Either you can go with it or you can resist it. And then you'll get kind of like a wake up in a way where you're like, oh, things are different now. And that could be, I'm not going to lie, relationships ending. This could be friendships ending, losing a job. Like, it's almost like things are fundamentally shifting right now. And I think as Saturn and Neptune are more in Aries, which is going to be next year in 2027, it's complicated. We are definitely trying to heal the yin and the yang of this planet, and it's off. And I think everyone feels it. Like, you can feel the unhealthy yin and yang. That's the feminine and the masculine energy. It's off. And I think Saturn and Neptune in Aries is going to be a huge shift for us when it comes to understanding our autonomy, understanding each other. It's going to be big. And so the heaviness is here to heal. I really do. And sometimes we have to go through difficulty in order for us to become aware of what we need to do to change.
Of course.
So
it's a big piece of it.
Yeah.
How does astrology explain the tough patterns we repeat in relationships or within our families?
I love that. I love that question. It's true. So relationships in astrology is such a fascinating thing, because when you start to look at what you need in astrology versus what you attract, like when I see someone's chart and I'm like, oh, these are good themes for you. And like, why am I not attracting that? Like, why am I not getting that? Why do I attract the narcissistic people? Why do I attract the selfish people? Or why do I attract the emotionally unavailable people? So then you layer that deeper, and then you start looking at like the father and the mother in the chart. And you start looking at how that individual could have received love. Like, we can approach it from two different ways. From an individual that's attracting a lot of narcissistic partnerships, that pattern of attracting very controlling, avoidant, whatever it is. It's teaching us at one level, like how for ourselves to step up and stand up for ourselves, to have autonomy, to not really put up with that, to be able to claim a level of enlightened selfishness, to be able to put yourself first. Why is it so easy for that person to put themselves first, but you can't do it for yourself? And where does that first come from? Because when you attract a narcissist, it's probably not the first time that you've met one.
Right.
You should look backwards to say, when was the first time that I met an individual that had a personality like this? When did this first show up for me? When did this pattern first show up for me? Is one thing that we would do. And so you look at a family chart, or not a family chart, you look at somebody's chart. And immediately when I see it, I can pick up on if there's a family pattern, like if there's a family healing in the chart, you could see it. And a signature of that could be like Pluto in the 4th house or the South Node in the 4th house. That would indicate that that's a child that might not have felt fully loved and supported by one or both of the parents. How does that shape someone's consciousness, right? If I don't get my needs met and I'm sitting down with this client and they are struggling to meet partners that are unable to meet that emotional wound, but they're trying to project that into their relationships, hoping somebody is going to fix that inside of them.
It's not going to fix it.
It's never going to happen. And so the healing of this has so much to do with, I need to access my own emotional body. I need to figure out what's going on inside of me.
Yeah, why am I attracting this?
Why am I attracting this situation emotionally? Why is it that I'm experiencing this? And it comes from that deep need and desire to feel safe and secure in this world. And there's a Mel Robbins quote, I think she said, "No one's coming to save you." And I always say this to people. And when you have a placement, and I just want to say this for anyone listening, if you have Pluto in the 4th house or the South Node, it doesn't mean that this is always the case. We always look for 2 or 3 cases of this, but like no one is coming to save you. And if you think that you can go look for the answer in a relationship, you will just continually disappoint yourself and let yourself down.
Yeah.
And the reason why we go through these patterns or cycles is truly to wake ourselves up to what our potential is. Some people do it early, some people wait until they're older. And that traditionally will coincide with other transits, like a Saturn return. It could be your second Saturn return. It could be your Chiron return, where you realize, like, I'm unhappy. This isn't what I want in my life. And so we can see the pattern of what the individual is experiencing. But then in a transit, we can also see how it's activated for them and say, like, oh, this is a relationship that you pretty much manifested because whether it's an unhealthy father wound or an unhealthy mother wound, or you've been attracting out of this. I mean, we do attract out of our South Nodes. Like you could see like someone, your South Node is what keeps you really, it's almost like that sort of past life influence. So it almost is like how you're used to doing things. And if we're not aware of it, we live in that space. And when you live in that space, you re-attract the same patterns over and over again. And the reason why we do that is to wake ourselves up. So I always look at charts and I'm like, hold up. We see that there's a major family problem here. We see that there's a wound generationally, or there's major problems or traumas or pains that could be brought up with the mother. And are you looking to, is there a reason why you keep attracting men that have mommy issues? Did you have a mommy issue?
Right.
Like, or are you in a position where you're trying to take care of everybody because that's your way of finding safety and security? Like, where is this coming? And so it is individualistic. I'm just giving some examples of how we could see this in somebody's chart.
Right.
And then the healing comes in as like, what is it that I actually need in the relationship? And 9 times out of 10, every individual knows what they need. And I just think sometimes, again, it goes back to needing to know yourself. Like,
well, you also need to learn how to give that to yourself.
100%.
Because you can love yourself in the way that you need to be loved.
Yeah.
In many ways. And that way you're not seeking that constantly externally because you don't need to, because you provide that for yourself.
Yeah. And you know how much it affects like your point of attraction to like the experiences that you have. And I always say this, like your self-relationship is the basis of what you attract in your life.
Absolutely.
And so if you could just be aware of that, like how you see yourself and how, like, look at it like you're married. What is your own marriage with yourself like? Or if you're dating somebody, what is it like to date yourself? What does that relationship look like? And so if I have an individual that is so tough and so self-critical on themselves, your hair is never good enough. This is not pretty enough. My house is always dirty. I'm not good at this. Whatever it is, those conversations that you repeat in your head, don't be surprised that when you date, you meet somebody that only validates all of those stories that you're telling yourself. And the problem is then you come to someone like me. Why can't he love me the way that I am? Why won't somebody love me for who
Because
I am?
you don't love you the way that you are.
Bingo. Until you learn to unconditionally accept yourself for how imperfect you are and how beautiful you are, you won't experience that with somebody else.
That's it right there.
And that is what you can see in someone's chart. When you're looking at their placement, you're like, hold up, like this is your self, like Venus, for an example, for me has a lot to do with your self-relationship. I can look at somebody's Venus and be like, oh girl, we need to work on this. Like we got to look at what this is going to be like, because if you do, the power of this is you can manifest anything you want in this life. You can attract the partner, you can attract the career, you can attract whatever it is that your heart desires. What's happening is I think we've been conditioned to believe that we don't have that power. And it really does come from within.
Yeah, and it's because you keep telling yourself that too.
Yes, and then it's even more magical once you understand that and then you share it with somebody.
Absolutely.
And then it's like, y'all are co-creators. Y'all are like, make it happen. It's a power couple.
Yeah.
So there's so much potential, but I look at it like we all have family, healing. We all have family problems. But be willing to sit with it, especially if you're going to sit down with an astrologer to talk about those family patterns and those rhythms and understand how they show up in your relationship if you want change. But like, I can't force it.
No.
Like you have to be willing to do the work and be willing to talk about it and look at it.
Yes. I want to ask you one more thing before we wrap this episode.
Yeah.
Can two people be astrologically incompatible, or is it more about understanding each other's charts?
So I think going back to the concept of like Instagram and TikTok and like newspapers and stuff like that, be very careful about what you believe, because the best relationships that I've seen are where people are told that they don't belong together. And they have the best relationships. And that's because your chart is way more complex than you think.
Right. It's not just the one sun sign.
It means nothing, especially in relationships. It actually like means nothing to me. Like there's so many other things we're looking at here. And so I think you could be whatever sign you want. Your partner can be whatever sign they are, and you guys can be rock stars. And I think it just takes willing to go deeper into it and look at it, because again, there are so many other things that we're looking at as far as there's a word in astrology called synastry. That's what we're looking for. And you don't want it to be perfect, but you do need to understand like it is not just your sun sign. Like I know a Scorpio and a Gemini, and they're like inseparable. And I would never in a stereotypical world put those two in the same room, but they're amazing together. They have such good chemistry, such good compatibility. And it's because their charts are way more supportive than just those sun signs. Those sun signs challenge each other to go have more fun and get deeper. So it's almost like they complement each other at the same time. So it's more. So if you're
it's way
like,
deeper than that.
Yeah. So like, don't like if you meet somebody like, I'm a Leo and I should be with an Aries. Like, no, you probably shouldn't. You probably need to look a little deeper at that to see what it is that you actually need before you start thinking that it's like,
don't judge it just based on their sun sign.
Never. I ignore that. I'm like, again,
warning.
No, ever. Yeah.
I end every episode with a prayer. So I'm just going to end this episode with a prayer. May we carry what we need, release what we don't, and stay open to the magic that still is unfolding. Thank you for sipping your matcha and sharing your heart with me today.
Thank you. I appreciate it. That was beautiful.
Thank you.
Yes.